Miło mi zaprosić słuchaczy i czytelników bloga Sięgnij po zdrowie do wysłuchania wywiadu. Wywiadu jedynego w swoim rodzaju, bo z osobą niezwykłą, z kardiologiem i dietetykiem, profesorem Johnem Arturem Scharffenbergiem, emerytowanym kierownikiem Katedry Żywienia Uniwersytetu Medycznego Loma Linda w Stanach Zjednoczonych. Dlaczego wywiad jedyny w swoim rodzaju? Otóż Stowarzyszenie Promocji Zdrowego Stylu Życia Sięgnij po zdrowie w swojej działalności realizuje program promocji zdrowia właśnie tego wiodącego w świecie Centrum Medycznego Loma Linda w Kalifornii, oazy ludzi długowiecznych. Jako stowarzyszenie uznaliśmy, że te zasady, które wychodzą z Uniwersytetu Loma Linda, a opierają się na holistycznej koncepcji człowieka, są tymi, które najlepiej gwarantują życie długie, ale w zdrowiu i szczęściu. Dzisiaj nasz gość jest przedstawicielem tego uniwersytetu. Jak to powiedział ktoś z moich znajomych, chodzący przykład na to, że zasady, które głosimy poprzez działalność stowarzyszenia, te, które znajdują się na stronie sięgnijpozdrowie.org, to zasady słuszne i prawdziwe, godne naśladowania. Dlaczego jeszcze wywiad jedyny w swoim rodzaju? Ponieważ znajdujemy się w przepięknym zakątku Polski, nad jeziorem Lubie, w okolicach Drawska Pomorskiego, gdzie trwa kamp młodzieżowy. Przyjechało tutaj mnóstwo osób po to, by słuchać profesora Scharffenberga, by uczyć się od niego, ponieważ profesor jest nie tylko teoretykiem, ale jest również praktykiem. A dzisiaj cenimy osoby, które żyją w zgodzie z tym, czego nauczają. Posłuchajmy zatem, jakich odpowiedzi udzieli profesor John Artur Scharffenberg na pytania, które przygotowaliśmy specjalnie dla niego.
Cieszymy się, panie profesorze, że mamy pana tutaj. Czy mógłby pan kilka słów powiedzieć o sobie naszym widzom?
Well, I was born in Shanghai, China, a long time ago. And
No, it's not true.
and I came to the United States when I was 16. I went to my last year of high school in Michigan, and then I had about 2 2/3 years of college in Tacoma Park, Maryland area, Washington, D.C. area. And then I went into Loma Linda Medical School. But the Army put me through because that was the time of the war. So they put me into the Army and paid all expenses plus $300 a month pocket money, which was quite nice.
Lucky you.
But then when I got out, I had an internship at Loma Linda Hospital, and then I planned to be a missionary. So my wife and I flew back to China. We landed in Hong Kong. At the time, all the missionaries were leaving because Mao Zedong, the communists, were just coming in to take over. So we left. And then my son was born in Canton. And then they shipped us to Seoul, Korea. And I worked there for a year, and the war came. So we had to get out of there. Then I came back to the United States and took a position teaching medical students at Loma Linda.
And what did you teach?
I taught physical diagnosis, how to examine people, make sure they're okay physically, you know.
To, że uczyłeś o odżywianiu i przeżyłeś ponad 90 lat, jest najlepszym dowodem, że praktyka i teoria w twoim życiu się spotkała. Co uważasz za kluczowe?
Well, back then, of course, I wasn't teaching nutrition then. But the most important thing, really, I can give you all in one sentence. I can give you a university course in nutrition in one sentence. Eat at the proper time.
Oh.
Not between meals.
Okay.
Eat at the proper time.
Okay.
A variety, not a lot of variety one meal, but from meal to meal over a week. Eat at the proper time a variety of natural, not processed foods, in quantities for ideal weight. That's what you need to know.
Bardzo proste. Na naszej stronie internetowej bardzo dużym powodzeniem cieszył się wykład na temat uleczyć mózg. Czy odżywianie może mieć jakiś wpływ na sposób myślenia?
Yes, there is. Our biggest health expense in the United States is taking care of people whose minds are not functioning. That is a big problem. And half of the dementia is due to Alzheimer's disease. And 40% of Alzheimer's disease is due to vascular type. That same risk factors for heart disease.
But do you know that in California, there is most men over 100 years old are living in California? Do you know that?
Yes, at Loma Linda. That's the blue zone. They never came and asked me any questions when they came there because I was too young. But they just took the older people, 95 years of age. The doctor's still doing surgery and things.
No.
And they check those out. See,
It's really true.
but in my life, I'm 90. I expect to retire when I'm another 10 years, 100 years. So I'll retire.
Okay, because you respond also for my next question. Do you know someone over 100 years old in California?
They have people who are over 100 years. Yes.
Okay. Because a few weeks ago died the oldest man on the earth, and he was a Polish origin, also scientist living in New York for many, many years. But I have a question. You look healthy. You are healthy. You are very old. If you can tell me what in whole your life you eat the most, I don't know, vegetables, ice creams.
I eat mostly fruit and grains, like brown rice, oatmeal. I make my own granola. I make my own oatmeal waffles. They're the best. Cornmeal. Those are the things. I put fruit on top.
You said that the most important is right time of the meals. How many meals per day you have?
Well, I only eat twice a day. Twice a day.
What time?
I skip supper. Breakfast, 6:30 in the morning, and then lunch 12:30, 1:30 in there sometime.
Okay, 6:30 in the morning breakfast. How many hours you sleep when you?
Well, I sleep about 7 hours.
What about the drinking? We know that it's very important, but what to drink? How many times? What temperature?
I think we should have about 2 liters a day. It shouldn't be not drunk at mealtime, but in between meals. Okay? We should not have much liquid with the meals. That's a little problem I see over here. Soup, often. Lots of liquid. And a lot of people like thin soup. I think if it were thick, it would be better. Less problem. Because when you take a lot of liquid and put it in your stomach, the liquid has to be absorbed before the food can be digested. Okay? So I think the water should be taken between meals. I don't use tea. I don't use coffee. I'm not used to hot drink. Over in Europe, most people are used to hot drink, but I don't use a hot drink.
There is another question, very important. We talk about water. We talk about night. But how many smile should be per day?
How many miles?
Smile.
Oh, smiles. Very important.
Yes.
I smile quite a bit. And I can say hard things to people. And they don't get offended because I smile when I say it. So I think smiling is important.
Okay, thank you.
Mam pytanie. Dzisiaj wiele osób się zastanawia nad tym, czy jeść kwasowo, czy zasadowo, czy dieta Dukana, czy różne inne diety. Jak wybrać? Jak się do tego ustosunkowywać?
Now, there's diets for weight control, so people don't get too fat. Everyone works because it's designed to be low in calories. If they stick to the diet, it will work. But the problem is sometimes the diet has foods which will kill you too fast. They aren't the best foods. So besides having the proper amount, we should have the kind of foods that are going to preserve health for many years. That means less meat, less sugar, less refined food, more fiber in the diet, more fresh fruits and vegetables, that kind of thing.
A co z tymi kwasowymi, zasadowymi posiłkami?
It doesn't matter whether it's acid or alkaline. There are some people thought cancer would live better in acid food. We have no evidence for that. Your body has a way to keep everything where it should be. The stomach always should be acid. And the intestines should always be alkaline. Okay? Your blood must always be the same. pH always the same. Otherwise, you're dead. And we have mechanisms to keep it the same. We have within the blood a bicarbonate system, which keeps it the same. We have the kidneys that excrete the acid if it's too acid. It excretes the alkaline if it's too alkaline.
Jak długo jest pan profesor już wegetarianinem? Jak długo nie je mięsa? I dlaczego?
I'm a vegetarian most of my life. I ate little meat, once or twice a year, not much. But I haven't eaten any meat since I was a junior medical student. Okay? None. And the reason I don't like to eat meat is saturated fat, cholesterol. You have more heart attacks. Men at age 40 who eat meat have 4 times as many heart attacks as vegetarians. So men live a lot longer who are vegetarians.
A co z wpływem papierosów, alkoholu, kawy? Wiem, że w Stanach Zjednoczonych spadła liczba ataków serca. Czy ma to związek ze spadkiem palenia papierosów?
Yes, we have dropped our cancer death rate too, but our heart attack and stroke death rate have dropped much faster. So that under age 85, the leading cause of death in the United States is cancer now, not heart disease. So we've done very well on the heart disease question.
A co z rakiem? Czy jest jakaś szansa na opanowanie zachorowań na raka?
Can we lower the risk?
Yes.
We think right now our drop in cancer rate is half because of better care, better treatment. Other half is prevention. And we can prevent many of the cancers. You don't smoke, not so apt to get lung cancer. Smoking increases the cancer of the intestine. It increases the cancer of the prostate gland.
I have a question. You said that the activity, physical activity, is very important. Were you a sportsman, or how you use the physical activity?
Well, I cut my own wood to heat the house. So I chopped the wood. And I had a big garden, about 8/10 of a hectare cultivated. I had about 80 fruit trees. I planted lots of strawberries, planted everything.
All day activity.
That's right. I was exercising that way. Useful exercise.
Okay. I have 2 questions. You are expert in all these scientific trainings and all this data. I want to ask you the question. Is any study which amazed you the most? You didn't expect the result.
Well, one study, I did not expect the result. I decided to determine which foods cost the less money for getting more and more vitamins and minerals. Mm-hmm. And the foods which were the best were your beans and potatoes, and your peanuts and beans, and your leafy green vegetables. But the poorest was sugar. That's to be expected. But what surprised me was that meat and fish were the next poorest buy for the dollar. It's not that there was no good nutrition in the meat, but you paid a lot of money for the amount of vitamins and minerals you got. So I was surprised that it was that poor a food.
Okay. My next question is, wife of your president, Mr. Obama, she's, I think, leading the program of making the Americans losing the weight. Is any role for Loma Linda, for Adventists, to help with that, or because they were leaders in the health lifestyle in the United States and in the world? How is the situation now?
I was the first one to establish a weight control program for the Adventist Church group many, many years ago. I have had more weight control programs, I think, than anybody else in the world. I've done lots of them. I've had as many as 200 at one time, teaching them how to lose weight. Now, a lot of people join the group, and they think that since they're in the group that's going to lose weight, they will lose too. No, it doesn't work that way. They have to do something. You know, they have to exercise more. They have to eat less. And 2/3 of the people who are overweight, if they would stop eating between meals, just eat at mealtime, they can take care of their weight problem. Just eating at mealtime.
Okay. What about the role right now? What about the role of Adventists right now in the program? Is any discussion, connection, or any activity we are doing?
The fattest city in the United States was Philadelphia.
What?
Philadelphia. They were the fattest. And they employed a Seventh-day Adventist nurse who had her master's degree in public health from Loma Linda to get the whole town to lose weight. She did an excellent job. It is no longer the fattest city in the United States. Her name was Gwen Foster. She did a good job. Gwen Foster.
But when?
But when it was?
Well, it's been a number of years now, maybe 10, 15 years ago. But that started the weight control thing in the United States. Now, we think it's better to get the habits of the children right. And we've tried every method to change the eating habits of children. Impossible. No plan works. But we found one way that works. If the parents eat right, the children eat right. So what we have to do is get young parents with little children and get the children to eat right. If the parents eat right, the children will eat right. That's what we got to do.
Good behavior, style, example from the adults.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you the question concerning your plans for the next 10, 20 years. What do you...
Well, I'm taking appointments for the year when I'm 102 years old.
Yes.
But I really plan to retire when I'm 100.
Oh.
Myślę, że na koniec warto byłoby zadać pytanie, czego by pan profesor życzył naszym słuchaczom na koniec tego.
We know that we can lower the risk of heart attacks and stroke by 80%. We know that diabetes is a preventable disease. We can lower the risk of getting diabetes by 88% by living the proper lifestyle. So why shouldn't people do that? This is something is better than any medicine that you can get, any other medical program. This does better. Statin medications to lower heart attack lowers the risk 30%. But this method of avoiding the risk factors lowers the risk 80%. That's what people should do. They can do that for themselves. It doesn't cost them anything.
Dziękuję bardzo za te rady i za te informacje. I wiemy, że jest wiele różnych teorii, które niekoniecznie się sprawdzają w praktyce, ale życie pana profesora jest dowodem na to, że teoria i praktyka w pana przypadku odniosła sukces. Dziękuję bardzo za to spotkanie.